besties!
Hey, besties!
We're here with one of my other besties, Ashley, which is my cousin.
Hi.
Technically we're cousins. We don't have any blood relation, but we're cousins.
By marriage.
Colin's parents said tonight, Colin's daddy's like, oh yeah, you guys kind of look alike. And I was like, that's crazy because we're not blood related at all. I feel like that's how it always seems to go. Like, people always say that my dad and my brother look alike. I was like, that's crazy because that's his stepdad. So, but that's how it always seems to go. Like, my mom and Pat, they're like, oh my gosh, they act just alike. I said, well, they're not blood related, so that's kind of crazy. Because they do act a lot alike. Because I went on Tuesday night to pick her up from the airport, and my pap insisted on riding with me. Wouldn't take no for an answer. Called me thrice about, can I come? Let me ride with you. I don't want you to go by yourself. I literally said to him, I said, if it'll make you feel better, fine. I said, all right, I'll be there at 1 o'clock. I said, well, we're not leaving until 2. Like, okay. So he came on, literally complained the whole time about traffic. It wasn't that bad. But he did make me pull over at a Burger King so he could go to the bathroom.
My goodness. So how
Like
old was your
20
mom when they got married?
11.
Okay,
maybe?
so she was kind of raised by him enough to
Well,
get
no,
some...
they hated each other.
Well, that doesn't mean that she wasn't raised by him.
She moved out.
At 11?
She moved in with her dad.
At 11?
Yeah.
Oh,
But then she did move back in. So it's actually kind of a crazy story. So my nan, my mom's mom, and my mom's dad got divorced when my mom was, I believe, 6, maybe 5 or 6. And my nan married another man, and they moved to Florida. But it was just my mom and my nan and this guy, my uncle. My uncle, that's older than my mom, he stayed back to live with my great-grandmother instead of going to Florida because he didn't want to leave school. And he was a little bit older at the time. I think he was like a teenager. But my mom hated it, and she had like a lot of resentment for my nan. Well, she was only married to this guy for like 2 years. It's actually a really crazy story because my nan had met my pap, like when she was married to her first husband, my mom's real dad. And my mom's real dad wasn't really a great guy. And my pap was always like, you should leave him. Like, I would take care of you. Like, I want to be with you. And she had 2 kids. So she was like, no, like, I have to stay and blah, blah, blah. But anyways, like, they ended up getting divorced. She met this other guy, moved to Florida, moved back. And then I guess they ran into each other again. And my pap always told me, he's like, I knew I would never get another chance with her. So he's like, I had locked it down. But anyways, my pap was kind of a tough guy because he was in Vietnam and he was a Marine. So he was like pretty strict. And my mom had like been kind of bounced around. So she was like, no, I'm not doing it. So she and him like butted heads a lot. They still do. And so
they're both very stubborn though.
They are two of the most stubborn people I know in my life.
Yeah.
So she moved with my grandpa. Like, he wasn't that great of a guy. And so after like 2 or 3 years, she called home and was like, I want to come back. And my pap's like, well, you can come back, but you're going to be living by my rules and like respect me. And she's like, okay. And he came to pick her up and she's like, I love you. Thank you. And they've been fine ever since. Oh. And like, they're very close. Like, those two get together and they fighting, but
you gotta have them on the pod.
That's what I told Caitlin. I said, this would be I think I said that last week, like, he would be one of my podcast guests because he's had just like such a crazy life, like in a good way. Like, his life has been so interesting, and like, I love hearing his stories of his life because it's wild. Truly, it's wild. So anyways, what were we talking about?
I don't even remember.
I know.
Cardi B.
Get out of here.
Picking me up from the airport.
Yeah, he's just nuts. Yeah, he's nuts. I love him. I love him so much. But he drives me nuts. He's just an old man, typical old man, just loud and just says whatever he's thinking and interrupts you. Ashley and I are trying to talk to each other because we haven't seen each other in how long, so we're trying to catch up, and he's like, yeah, anyways, I think I'm going to leave on Tuesday, go to Ohio. And we're like, okay.
Great. 10 minutes into a conversation.
And so we just like wait until he's done. And then we'd be like, yeah, so anyways. And he'd be like, I think we're going to get off this section up here. Right? Here, about 2 miles. Yeah, you should be in the left lane. You should be in the left lane. I'm like, okay, all right. So I didn't want you to come along with me.
He'd be like, watch that car. They might merge.
They might merge.
Oh,
Well, he used to
my.
drive truck. Like, he was a truck driver. So he critiques every semi-truck on the road. He's not doing it right. He doesn't know he's doing it. It must be his first day. I'm like, oh my gosh. Colin thinks it's so funny. Colin feeds into it.
Oh, sure.
Those two together, I can't. How was your week?
All right.
I feel like it's a rough week for you. I haven't really talked to you too much.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week for me, but...
Yeah, it's been busy. I had early parent-teacher conference.
You said it went good, though, right?
It went really well. On
Good.
Thursday? Yeah. Thursday.
Days are a blur. I didn't know they did parent-teacher conferences.
Well, see, in that class, it's the class
The
right
older.
before kindergarten.
Okay.
So
I figured it was probably like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, she does them twice a year, but she wanted to do one with me now just to like go over my kids' stuff and make sure we're on the same page. And yeah, things are going really great. So I'm excited there.
His teacher seems like she's on it.
She is on fire.
Dude, when she comes out in the hallway, I'm like, this girl was born to be a teacher. She was born to be a teacher.
Yes. Eli loves her. Everything at the house is, can I show Mrs. Everly? Can I talk to Mrs. Everly? Can I take this to school and show Mrs. Everly? I'm like, Eli, relax, man. But I will admit, and I even told her that I've started using it against him. Whether if he gives me attitude or doesn't want to do something, I'll say, Mrs. Everly said you need to do it.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Oh, yeah.
So no, this is the first week that Sonora, so like on Wednesday they were, Ashley and Micah were there, and I was like, hey, like we gotta get up and go to school. She said, no, I stay here with Micah. And I was like, oh my gosh. She was really excited that they were coming though, which is
I'm
cute.
sure.
So now that's like her only thing that she
She
wants
could
to do.
say, I play with baby Micah.
I play with baby Micah.
And how old? He's close to Sully, or no?
Yeah, he's 3 months older than Sully.
Okay, but she
Yeah.
just loves him so much.
Well, I mean, she does. She's just Sonora. There's just no other way to describe her. She's wearing a cowgirl hat around the house today, going, yeehaw! Yeah, crazy week. This is my first time hosting somebody to stay in my house. Like, sleep.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had anyone sleep over at my house, other than KP.
And you've been there 2 years? 3 years?
It'll be 3 in July.
Wow.
I never really posted anybody else. I mean, when we lived at the apartment, I had, like, KP had stayed over and Ashlyn had stayed over, but that was just an extra bedroom.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, let's, like, make some, adjustments and whatever, which is fine. I just, like, I think when you have kids, it's, like, doing anything different makes you, like, nervous. Yeah, So anyway, Sonora's been sleeping in our room. Lord have mercy. I don't know how people be sharing beds with their children, but I'm sick of it. It's so sweet because she's, like, snuggled up to me. It's so cute. But last night I about lost my mind. It was, like, night 3. She's all up on me. I don't like to be touched when I'm sleeping. I think everybody knows this. I don't want to be touched. And she's literally like this, and Colin's over here. And I'm like, I can't yell at him like I normally would because she's laying there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to, hit him or kick him. My arms are small, and my legs are short, and I can't reach him. So I kicked him out last night. I said, go sleep on the couch. And he, like, Colin's not the type of guy that when you're like, go sleep on the couch, he's like, yes, ma'am. He's like, no. I don't understand how women get their husbands to sleep on the couch. Because, like, I swear to God, I could tell Colin, go sleep on the couch. He would look me dead in the eyes and be like, no. And then that would be the end of it. Because what else am I supposed to say? Like, he's not scared of me. I don't know how women, they're like, oh, I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. I'm like, how do we get to that point? I want that authority in my marriage.
Taylor.
Because, like, where's that going to, I need that to happen. Why is it not happening? If I say go sleep on the couch, you should be like, yes, sir, right away. Would Justin go sleep on the couch if you told him?
Probably, yeah.
Wow. Would David go sleep? No.
Absolutely not.
No. See? That's how Colin is. Colin's like, I'm not sleeping on the couch. Like, this is my house. You sleep on the couch. Yeah, but Justin's more of like a golden retriever.
Yes.
I think Colin's kind of got a little bit of that.
I feel like David's a good mix.
But Colin would never, ever sleep on the couch. He'd be like, we can work this out, baby. Please. I'm not sleeping on the couch. Like, I literally could, like, put my foot down and be like, I don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. He'd be like, then go sleep on the couch. And then, like, where's my argument go? Because I'm not sleeping on the couch. Like, I'm not stooping that low. You know what I mean? Like, I would lose that battle.
You just
That's
need to kick KP out and get a second bed up in there again.
KP listening to this.
Sorry, KP. And then
No, that would be.
you could just say, go to the other room.
So when we lived at the apartment, we had an extra bedroom, and if I ever got mad at him, I'd be like, "You need to go sleep in the other room." He'd be like, "I'm not going to sleep in there. You go sleep in there." And one time I did, and then he felt really bad. Only time we ever slept separately is like if one of us was like sick. But this was also like COVID, and we're like, "Oh, I don't want to get each other sick." It's not gonna matter. We live in a 700 square foot apartment. It's not gonna matter.
When I was pregnant, there were a few times where I'm like, okay, I cannot sleep in this bed with you, and I would go to the spare room.
Back at your old house.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that. But you guys had that extra room. You guys had like 30 extra rooms.
In my current house or
Yeah.
the Hanover house?
Well, both. You had 3 bedrooms in the Hanover house, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. But only one of the extra bedrooms had a bed in it. The other one was like,
Your closet, wasn't it?
yeah, my closet.
I
Getting rid of it.
remember when you were giving me a tour of that house. I was like, "Girl, just keep going," because that one room you had like a freaking shoe shelf or something,
Yeah.
and then the other room you had this huge makeup vanity.
Yeah.
Dude, I was
ritzy.
Oh, it was fancy too.
Yeah.
What did you do with that stuff?
We still have it.
Where?
It's in our bedroom.
Oh, I didn't look in your room that much.
Oh.
Like I just went in there and went and took a shower.
My room is, it might be it's like wider than what your bedroom is.
Okay.
I don't know if it's as long as what yours is, but it's definitely wider.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
mean,
never
we've
really
got
looked in there.
we've got good space in there.
Like I saw your bed and your mirror, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because we have the master.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy? Wouldn't you think that's crazy? When I went there, she's like, "Yeah, we have the master." I said, "My parents would never." They'd be like, "Girl, get out of here."
So should we get into that?
Yeah, like you just like made it sound really
Okay,
weird.
yeah. So
Yeah.
give us your little spiel, your little dynamic. Yeah, get into it.
Little background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At least start when you were here.
Okay. So was here and born and raised, and then we moved in 2022 to Florida. My parents were like 5 years before that. They were like, "All right, we've got a 5-year plan. We're up and moving." And at first, I was like, "No, you're not. Like, you're not moving." And then they were like, "Yeah, we're for sure moving." And my parents are like our biggest support system. Like that's like.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew once we had kids, I needed that support system. So I was like, all right, guess we're moving to Florida. So we moved in July of 2022. And when we were looking at houses, my parents and I and my grandma, we were like, let's just all buy a house together. So my parents and me and my husband. But yeah, so moved in July of 22. And the 5 of us all lived in the same house. And then I got pregnant in October of 2022. So now we have a 1-year-old little boy, me and my husband, my parents, and my grandma, all in the same house. But it works.
Does it all the time?
For the most part.
That I feel like that's just like
Well, the house sounds big enough that you could just like hide away if it
It
wasn't
is.
working.
It is.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
You guys really hit a like gold mine with that place.
We did. So it's about 4,000 square feet, and it has like 3 different living spaces. So in the beginning, the upstairs, the game room, was Justin and I's living space, and then Mom and Shay could be downstairs, and Grandma had her like she has like a wall, and it has a living space, a bedroom, and a bathroom.
And that's where like Colin and I say we went. And honestly, you could like live in there. All you would need is to go to the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
because it has a full living room in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And it has the wall too, so like she's
with
got
the
her
door and
own-
everything.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that was not there originally. We built that. Well,
Yeah.
we did not. A contractor. built
That's
that.
crazy because while Grandma got a wall, she ain't even on the mortgage. Who paid for that?
Well, we all paid for it. We all split the bills 5 ways. So
Everything that goes on in the house, you split 5 ways.
pretty much, Grandma pays a little bit less than what.
Well, because she's just one person.
But I will say she does like if she wants something specific in groceries, like she will go buy it herself.
Well,
See, I
she's
feel
probably
like-
not working.
Yes, so she's not. No.
Well, she works part time when she's here in PA.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she used to
basically.
work. I mean, would that be technically for the state?
No.
No, she just works at a tax office, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like the local tax office.
Okay. She's always worked there.
Yes.
She probably has a nice retirement. Something that none of us will ever see. We'll never know about that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we do this. We have a podcast. They'd be like, we saw saw you had a podcast back in 2024. No Social Security for you.
No 401k in that.
Our kids in college. I see your mom had a podcast in 2024. Denied. You can afford a podcast. You can afford to go to college. You don't need me.
Oh.
Gosh. So was it like almost like an instant decision that you guys were all going to live together, or did it take some time and decision making to make that choice that you were going to all live together?
I would say time and decision making. Like we definitely, like we all sat around and we were like, all right, what's the pros and the cons? What do we like? What are boundaries? Things that we want, don't want. So we like talked about it for a while, and then finally it was like, why pay? Because we knew we wanted like a pool, and like we all wanted different stuff like that. So it was like, why don't we all just throw our money in together and get what we want, rather than all getting smaller houses and then not getting what we want.
So I think like the big hot button questions that come across my mind are, one, how did you get Justin to agree to move
that
in
was
with
my
your
first
entire
question.
family? Because Colin would be like, absolutely not. Now, I would move in with his parents, but I think it's because I'm just so easygoing that I would just acclimate, and I can just get along with anyone. Yeah. How did you get Justin to agree? I mean, he also, like, I don't know, go ahead.
Justin is so laid back. So that is like the main thing. He is so laid back. He can pretty much get along with anybody. So, I mean, he gets along really well with my parents. And I think something that is so important to like preferences is most people could not live with their parents again because their parents were so like strict growing up and they had so many rules. I did not have strict parents. Like,
so you're not traumatized?
Yeah, no.
What's that like?
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, like, Dave, my, like, real dad, there's, like, some trauma there, but, like, who I call dad, who's been in my life since I was 1, like...
Girl, I never heard you call him dad in your life. I heard you call him Shay.
Yeah, but that's because I always wanted my real dad in my life. And so I called him Shay, and I always, like, wanted my real dad.
So you were, like, just trying to hold that space for him.
Yeah.
Just never...
But then as soon as graduation happened, I said, see you later. And Shay's in my phone as dad.
Oh. I've literally never heard you call him that.
Mm-hmm. But when I talk to other people who don't really know our family dynamic, I call him dad.
Well, I mean, they are your parents.
Yeah.
I mean, technically.
He's been in my life since I was 1. So he raised me.
Yeah. He did. He was always... I mean, I don't remember a life without him.
Yeah. He's always been there.
Yeah.
So, but they were never strict. I was pretty much a good kid though. So like,
I think you had a very open relationship with them.
Yes.
Which is kind of like what I kind of aim to have with my children. It's just like honesty.
Yeah.
And I think that you guys really had that. Like you could just tell your parents anything.
That's for sure. Because I mean, even if I would like be stupid and go to like a party in high school or something, I went home the next day and my mom knew immediately. And I mean, she wasn't happy about it, but she like didn't scold me about it either.
Yeah.
So like I knew I could be honest with her and like tell her the truth. Yeah. So that is like the main reason why I feel like that we can live together is because it's not like this, oh, you have rules and like it's all strict, and no, it's laid back. And we all know that we're adults, and it's not me living with my parents. We all live together. Like
you're all equal.
Yeah. Like we're all on the mortgage.
Yeah.
So
I think that it's just like, and I think we were kind of even like talking about this tonight. Like if you've never experienced that, understanding is going to be like totally out of left field, because it's like, for me, I can't even think about what it would be like to live with my family because it wouldn't be like that. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about it, I'm like, that sounds terrible. But that's just because that would be my experience with it.
Right.
You know? Like when I would say when we were up visiting you, it felt very collective. Like it feels like it, like with my kids, for example, it feels like I'm like pestering people to ask them to help me with my kids. Whereas like when we were at your house, it was almost like everyone's just like chipping in. Everyone's contributing to like an equal goal. Mm-hmm. And that's with cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kid or kids in the future, and like whatever needs to be done, everyone's chipping in and everyone's like happy to do it. It's not like, well, that's your kid or that's your mess you have to clean up, and that's your like, and that's how I feel like it would be in mine. And so it wouldn't be good for me because I would feel like, well, I have all this extra stuff and extra burden, and then I'm living with all these people and they're just kind of getting in the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think maybe most people would feel that way. Like, it would definitely feel like separated.
Yeah. No, I mean, it took time to figure out like what everybody's role would be, but like my dad has always cooked like growing up, and so he cooked, and he's a good cook. He cooks dinner every single night. Like that's his role, is to cook dinner. My grandma, she cleans up after dinner and she does the dishes. She will empty the dishwasher. So like that's her role, her responsibility. So like everybody just kind of has their dynamic in the house and everything just flows really well. But it also, like you said, especially my mom, she's always been a person that will just do something and you don't have to ask her to do it. Yeah. Like when you guys were down there, and I remember like Nora came and like my mom took her down to
effortless.
The beach. Yeah. And like it's not like you asked her like, hey, do you mind holding? No, like mom just took her, and that's just how they are. Which is why we moved in the first place, because I knew I would never have to ask them to like, hey, can you watch my kid for 5 minutes so I can go to the bathroom? Like, no, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
sounds like a dream.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It sounds like a fairy tale.
It was so calm when we were there. And like I told you, when we got back from Florida, I was like, this was literally such a chill and relaxing vacation. Because like when you go on vacation, normally it's like, oh my gosh, your kids are acting crazy. They're all over the place. You're in a foreign house and like they don't know how to act. But like when you're with like all these other people that you like trust to watch your child, you're like, oh, I can just like, someone's gonna like be keeping an extra eye out. And it's almost just like more people to like help care for the child instead of like,
oh, you mean like a village?
Yeah, sounds like a village. Sounds like a village.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the one night we went out and we like, me and my husband and you and Colin, like we went out and got ice cream the one night and like just gave the monitors to my mom and said, here you go.
Well, and I also feel like us three are kind of in that phase, right, where we have like little kids. And so like tonight, you and I are here and Colin and KP are at home watching the monitors, you know, making sure the kids are okay. And like if Mike were to wake up, I don't know how it's gonna go, but at least Colin knows exactly what to do. Like he would go in and try to settle him, and
he's a good dad.
Yeah. So, and it's just the same with KP. KP might not know how to handle it, but KP will try.
They would try.
Yeah, they're gonna try.
Yeah.
Whereas like sometimes I feel like our parents and like that generation are just like,
what do I
don't know what to do. They're crying. Should I get them up out of bed and just like let them watch TV? I'm like, no, probably not. That's probably not what you should do. But
see, I feel like my parents are a little bit different in that aspect because we live together.
Well, and they've been with him his entire life.
Yes.
So they kind of went through that whole process with you.
And that was one thing that we talked a lot about when I was pregnant is like, how do I want him to be raised? And then like we had to set a boundary. Like my husband and I are the parents. We make the decisions, and then you are there to support us. So if you don't like the decision that we're making, that's correct. You're just there to support. But no, and every decision that we've made with parenting, they're like, so good with.
See, I feel like that would be a hard line for me to draw, just because like my mom has like a
strong personality.
Yeah,
and so I think I would have a hard time like
holding the line.
Yeah, holding the line. And, like, when my mom's around, I have a hard time saying, like, oh, no, like, we don't do it that way, but thank you for your opinion. I just go, okay, I'll try that next time. Like, I won't, like, I guess, so Sullivan was kind of a harder baby, and I said that before, and he had, like, a lot of tummy issues, and he would throw up a lot. Like, Colin's mom and my mom were like, oh, you should use formula. You should formula feed him. And I was like, literally to the point where they were like, we could go buy formula right now. And to me, like, neither of them ever breastfed. And when you're breastfeeding and someone says stuff to you like that, like, that's, like, soul crushing. And so when they would say that, I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, when you think about having a village, that basically means that these people are here to support you in the decisions that you're making and make things easier for you. Not like question your ability and try to offer these solutions that might not really be solutions. And in their mind, they probably thought, you know, that would be like take a weight off her shoulders. But that wasn't. And I think that that's also something when you're like kind of disconnected from having kids or you don't have kids yet. Like I remember like when you had your first kid and you were struggling to breastfeed him, I don't know if I was like super supportive in that, but like at the same time, like if you don't have a kid, you don't understand. And so it's so hard. And like that's why I don't really try to like shame people who don't have kids, because it's like unless
They
you're
don't
in
even
it,
know.
you don't have any idea what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes I think that's the hardest thing, is like not knowing the right thing to say, but just saying, "Hey, I'm here for you."
I'm here.
Because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough. But
yeah.
yeah. Off on a tangent. No, but it is really nice. Like sometimes I'm so jealous that you have that. Like I'm like, it must be nice.
But see that's why we moved to Florida, because I knew that if we stayed here, and it's no offense to the people that are like just inside of the family that's here, or the rest of my family that is here, but it's just my mom will always do something without me even having to ask her.
Mhm.
Whereas I knew that if it was somebody else, like if I asked them to watch my kids, they would probably, but my mom
It's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, so I knew we had to go.
Yeah.
We had to be with them.
Yeah.
But I knew they would just make our lives a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure it's probably a lot less stressful to raise a child in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's probably better for the child. It's probably better for you and your mental health.
And I always say I am a better mom because of it.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, because I remember there were 2 times, like vividly I can remember, it was the middle of the night. I could not get Micah to stop crying.
Mhm.
I was at my wit's end. I was up for so many hours. And, for like most people, you would either
you just keep going.
You just deal with it, or you tried your significant other. But like Justin had to work the next morning, and my mom did not. So I went to my mom and I was bawling, and I was like, "You got to take him." Like I was like, "I cannot." And she said, "Say no more. Take it. Like I'll give him."
Yeah.
And so she took him, and I knew that I could walk away and he would be safe with him.
Yeah.
So like in that moment, I was able to step away and be a better mom because I had their support.
Yeah.
So
I think that realistically, like that's what a lot of moms need.
Mm-hmm.
But you just don't have that.
You don't have it.
Even if you have a supportive partner, it's like you're only 2 people, and especially if you're more than 1 kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like since we had 2 kids, it's like sometimes your partner can't even be there because they're like doing something with
the other kid.
And that was like a lot of the time with we had Sullivan. It's like, dude, I'm maxed out. Like we can switch, but that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes I felt like I couldn't go to like Justin necessarily because he had work the next day. Like I stayed home for the first 7 months, so I was like, I got to do this by myself. Like I can't go bother anybody else because either like my parents have to work the next day or Justin has to work, but I'm like, I don't. So I'm like, if Mike is napping tomorrow, I can nap when he naps. I don't have to go.
I think that was the hardest part about being a stay-at-home mom is kind of like putting that weight on your shoulders. I definitely felt that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got over it really quickly though after I had the second one. I'm like, you're working from home tomorrow, so you're basically off. Take this baby. Good night.
So how was adjusting to like not having any friends down there? Have you made friends?
Yeah, but that was so hard in the beginning. So when I first moved down, we moved in July. I got a job in August, and I was not pregnant yet. So, but I was a manager at an office, and I always feel like I can't be friends with the people in my office because they don't know how to draw the line. So at first it was okay because, like I could still text my friends up here and it was like, okay. Then I got pregnant in October and it was a really rough pregnancy. Like I was sick every single day. I lost so much weight. Like I could barely eat anything. I went to the hospital multiple times, and so it was bad to the point where I went home crying every single day from work, and I was like, I cannot work anymore. I cannot do this. And Jess was like, say no more. You're done. So I stopped working in April, and then that's when it like really hit me that like I was by myself every single day. I didn't even have the baby yet. And
what did you do during the day? Survived.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I slept a lot because I like.
Oh, first pregnancy dreams.
Yeah.
I slept so much during my first pregnancy. I was like, life is a dream.
Yeah, but I never felt good. I always felt exhausted. And like when I was working, I remember I would come home from work. I would take a nap before dinner, even like before dinner was even on the table. I would eat dinner, shower, go right back to bed. But
what a dream. Those were the days. First pregnancy. Woo.
Yeah. But yeah, so then after I had the baby, I actually went on, it's called Bumble BFF.
Okay.
So like you can go meet friends that way. and I met 3 like friends that way. 2 of them I'm more close. One of them I'm like really close with compared to the others, but so I kind of just had to like put myself out there. My other cousin, Alexis, she did it, and so she was like, "Just do it. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen? You don't like any of them?"
Wait, you're cousins?
Not technically, but
But you were just really close with them growing up.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But so yeah, so she was like, put yourself out there. What's the worst thing that's gonna happen is that they're not gonna like you. You don't like them.
You don't know
Oh,
these
well.
people?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I was really hoping to meet some of their mom friends that way.
Yeah.
But like the 2 that I'm like the closest with, they don't have kids yet. But
yeah, but then you can be their support system when they have kids.
So. Yeah, and I know the one like really wants a kid. They're just struggling to have a kid right now. So
well, and you kind of were in that boat, so you can
kind
of help there.
Yeah,
so.
It took us almost 2 years to conceive Micah, so it took us a while.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I would say friends is like the hardest thing. And then my mom's a teacher, and so she has like teacher friends that she works with that they have kids right around the same age as Micah, and so I've gone and like hung out with them a couple of times, but I wouldn't say I'm like super close with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that was probably one of the hardest things, and it didn't hit me until we were there for like a year that I was like, dang, this is kind of lonely.
Yeah. Because I feel like you had a good group of friends here.
Yeah, I definitely did. I had like a solid 5 that like, and it wasn't like a group that would all hang out. I had like solid 5 like individual. Yeah. So that was definitely, and I've always been a big friend person.
Not
like,
me.
Yeah.
You don't have any friends. You just have Caitlin.
So that was really hard.
Yeah.
But
I think it's funny because like you and I we were close growing up, but then we kind of had like a separation when we were like in our teen years and stuff like that. We didn't even really start talking again until like around when we like both got married, because we only got married like a year apart.
Yes.
A year and 2 days.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I started inviting you when we moved to the Hanover house.
Yeah.
And I started inviting you and Colin to come over to like stay at our house. Yeah. Or like for like parties and stuff.
I remember I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley invited us over.
Got the invite. Yeah.
Because you know, like when you don't talk to someone, you just assume that they hate you.
Yes.
That was it. I was like, Ashley hates me. I don't know why, but she does.
But
she
hates
me.
We have 2 totally different. Like I did not realize like when we like had our falling out in our teen years, I didn't realize why. Like I thought it was.
I just thought maybe it was like we just kind of grew apart too, because we went to different schools and stuff.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought it was. Yeah. That we grew apart.
I mean, that was kind of overall the main reason.
But you said I kind of became a mean girl when I hung out with a specific person.
A mean girl. Yeah. Honestly, but I'm just gonna say it. If you were my cousin, I'd be like, this girl's a mean girl.
Yeah. And looking back, I kind of was. Like, and
I think you're just
like,
going through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at that point I was like, when I met this person, we were like I was in 4th grade, but then like when we started falling out, I was going into 6th grade. Yeah. So I went to a new school. You're figuring out the dynamic. You're learning new friends.
Well, I think the biggest thing is you played softball, and that was a huge part of who you were. And
that defines me.
Made a lot of friends doing that.
I did.
And I just didn't have that. And so that kind of just pulled you in that direction.
Yeah.
Which was great for you.
Yeah.
But like I just think that you kind of went in a different direction. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah.
Oh well. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. We're here now.
We made it back
We're
around.
Here now. Yeah.
But now you live in freaking Florida.
I know.
So
I keep trying to convince her to move down, but that's not happening.
Colin is not going for it.
Especially after this hurricane.
After these freaking hurricanes. He's like, absolutely not.
I could never even imagine Colin even contemplating it.
Yeah. They were thinking about it.
I think Colin has it in his mind. So I talked on our last week's episode that was out, not the one that we recorded, but last week's that was out, our like Q&A session about like a goal for me. I've always wanted to move away and move out of the town that I grew up in. And you did. Mm-hmm. And that's always something that I wanted, because I was literally born here. I'm going to be 27 years old, and I've always lived here. I don't want to always live here. I would like to move at some point, like, and just live somewhere else. And when Colin and I were first like together, that was something that we both talked about doing. And now that we have kids, I feel like he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh. Like, I was always like, oh, I want to live somewhere warm. And now he's like, No, I don't like warm. I want cold. I said, oh, well, see how these things are changing.
But see, if you move to like the Carolinas area, it's kind of the best of both worlds.
I agree.
Like it still does get pretty
You're
chilly.
preaching to the choir. I know.
Yeah. Because originally, if I had my pick of where we were going to move, we would have moved to North Carolina. Justin has family down there, so we would have moved like around that area. But my parents are like dead set on Florida.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to pick on that.
Did you ever want to move?
When I was younger, like early 20s, yeah. My previous relationship, he had family in California.
Yeah.
And at one point, we were actually starting to plan to move there. And we ended up not. But obviously, that was for the best. I know. That would have been like one of the worst decisions I could have made for my life, honestly.
Yeah, I always wanted to move. I think now it is harder when you have kids. Because like I want them to be close to their grandparents.
Yeah, so like why do you want to move?
I think that there's so much to see and there's so much of the world out there.
Well, you can travel.
Yeah, but it's hard to travel with kids. I don't know.
But do you think you're going to move to another part of the country and have no support system?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you like we have the best villages in the world, but we have something. And you're going to go somewhere where you don't have anybody.
I know.
And you don't have friends. Not saying you can't make friends and make that village,
yeah, but
you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Unless it's in Florida.
That's right.
It is not. It is not. I would.
My village.
The thing is, like, I wouldn't necessarily want to live in Florida either. I would love to live in one of the Carolinas. Colin's grew up in Carolina, North Carolina, and it's a very beautiful place, and it's like right in the middle, best of both worlds.
Southern hospitality is the Carolinas.
But I'm mean. I don't know if I'd do well there. You know when you're driving to Florida, you're driving south, and you get to Virginia, and you go in the gas station, and they start saying hello to you. That's how I know I've gone too far. I want to walk into the gas station, and they look at me like I'm trying to steal something. That's what I'm used to. They're giving you the side eye, like.
And see, like that's kind of how it is in Florida. Like nobody.
Yeah, once you get to Florida, then it gets cut off.
Yeah.
Then they're back.
Yes.
But people in Florida, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut up the whole podcast group. People in Florida are crazy.
Florida.
Yeah.
Like
it is just such a like
its own world down there.
Yeah. They call it the salad bowl down there.
They call it the armpit of the country.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely different. But yeah, I'm around the like Orlando area, so I feel like there's so much to do around there, and that's why we moved like where we did, because first of all, it's beautiful majority of the year, and so we can be outside all the time. But
you're not gonna be in direct path of the hurricane.
Yes, no, we're like more inland, so yeah, weather's not bad with hurricanes, but we're like 30 minutes from Disney, 30 minutes from SeaWorld. We have season passes to SeaWorld, so there's like always something to do. And that was one thing when we were thinking about where we wanted to go. Like they were like, we need to go somewhere that always has something to do.
Yeah. I feel that. Like living here from like
nothing.
So now it's starting to get really cold. Like today it was like a low of like 38, right?
Freezing.
And it's literally gonna be like that until March. And so it's like miserable for however many months out of the year. And it's like, that weighs on you so much when you have little kids because you're basically locked up in the house. And so I told Colin, I was like, I don't know if I can do this every single year with little kids, because when you have like little kids, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to go out if it's too cold. We can't play outside. There's only so much you can do inside when you stay home and you have little kids.
Or it takes you 10 minutes to bundle them up to go play outside for 5, and then they're soaking wet afterwards.
Yeah, and the snow, and
yeah. See, and that's why we were like, see you later. Because my parents were like, we will not shovel another winter. We are not doing this anymore.
Yeah, they live on the hill too.
Yes.
That's a long driveway.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you feel like it's been good for your marriage relationship to move with your parents? Or, I mean, a lot had changed though because you guys had a baby at the same time.
And Justin and I have talked about that because so when we moved in July, and then I got pregnant in October, and like I said, I got really sick. So at that point, I was just kind of like, get away from me. I'm like throwing
Survival
up all the
mode.
time. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I had the baby, and now I had like a pretty good baby. So, but I mean, I would say it's hard to pinpoint what was like difficult, like what made it kind of hard in our relationship. I would say though, my love language, I heard last week's podcast, you were talking about love languages, but mine is quality time. And so that's really hard when you live with a bunch of other people, because you know, after you put the kids down to bed, how you're like, let's go snuggle up and watch a movie, or like, you know, go watch our TV show or something. We can still do that, but then in the back of your mind, you're always thinking about like, oh, if we're like snuggling up, somebody can just walk down the stairs and see us. Like, and I mean, it's not like I'm saying that anything inappropriate is happening when we're just watching a TV or a movie.
Yeah, but there's always somebody else around. It's not like it's your own space.
So it's never that privacy of that. So I would say that is like been the hardest part for me. And because also too on the weekends, it's like if we're thinking, oh, hey, let's go to SeaWorld this weekend. And I say to my parents, oh, I think we're going to go SeaWorld. And they're like, sounds good, let's go. Like if we all hop in the car, we all go. So it's never intentional. Like if we have to sit there and we have to plan intentional time together, and that's been really hard.
Yeah, I think that's hard just after having kids in general too. Yeah, I think I talked about how you like kept tried to keep your son off of social media.
Yeah,
more.
I have posted him more recently. Like, I have always been the one to post him. Nobody else has ever really posted him. And then I have recently started posting him on TikTok, which I know is like a very public thing.
But in our minds, we're like, TikTok, haha, nobody sees this.
Yeah. But so I don't know. That has been like a hard thing to navigate. Yeah. Like, because our parents didn't grow up in a social media world, and so it's not like you can go to them and ask for advice on like what you think. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that you can really. Nobody really knows. We're all just like guessing. We're all just winging it on what we think the best thing to do is. Yeah. And I think for me, I think there's just like I dealt with like firsthand, like in 6th grade, I had a teacher. That like, so it was a Spanish teacher, and so we had to like. You probably heard about this. Yeah, probably. We had to record ourselves, like, speaking Spanish with somebody else, and then that teacher would take it home.
Oh, like here, in this district?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he was my teacher, too.
Yeah.
What are you? I never had him, because he got booked up for America.
The year that I was there is when he got caught and went to jail, and it was, I don't know, can you even say what he went to jail for on podcast, on YouTube?
What do they call it?
Child pornography?
Yeah. But so he went to jail for something involving like kids, and so that just I think just scared the crap out of me, thinking that somebody easily could take a photo of my child and do something so wrong with it when I posted it so innocently, or like a family member posted it so innocently. And then also, so it's like that, and then like just straight up like Dave, like I don't really want my bio dad like seeing him. I don't want him to take his photos, because he's taken photos of me and posted it on his Facebook as if I'm in his life, and I'm not. So so I don't want him taking the photos of my son.
Well, even like our grandmother, kind of like in the same boat of like acting like they're more involved than they really are. And that like just rubbed me the wrong way. And I think that like with pictures and stuff like that, it's like I don't want you to like take these pictures and like share them and be like, oh, my sweet, like, this isn't, you didn't take this,
right?
You've seen them once. What do you mean?
Like for them to pretend that they're involved in their life and they're not. Yes.
I have my mom blocked for that exact reason.
Oh, you ever blocked?
Dave's blocked for me, so he doesn't see any of my stuff. Because then that was my thinking. If I'm the main one that posts my kid, then nobody, like, he's not going to be able to find.
He wouldn't have anybody else.
Yeah.
I've been asking as we go.
So
you've been asking the burning questions. I think that what I think about is just moving away to a place where you don't know anybody. I have a hard enough time making friends here where I've been my entire life.
You don't need any friends. You got me.
To think about moving away.
But I do think on the other hand, sometimes it's a little bit easier because if you grew up here, a lot of people like
know you.
they know you, and so they have this, and they don't really know you, but they have this idea, so it's hard for you to actually build a friendship. Whereas the people that I have met, they know nothing about me, so it's like you get a brand new fresh start, and you get to just start fresh.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever start fresh. I would just stay isolated.
What is that app that we were using?
For what?
Peanut.
Oh, yeah. You started it, and then you made me join it. Well, you didn't make me, but you said you joined it, and so I did too. I also
Peer pressure.
I also tried like Bumble Friends, but I just saw people that I already knew.
And see, that's the thing. When you like live in your same hometown with the people that you grew up with, it's like.
Now, I will say, like, I had spoken with other girls that were having kids at the same time as me that, like, I knew of, but we weren't really close, and we never really talked. But, like, they were having kids the same age, and we just never followed through. Mm-hmm. Like, there was another girl, and we had hung out a few times. She was very nice. Her daughter was older than mine. She gave me, like, clothes, and she was really, really sweet. But, like, we just could never click, I guess. And those are those situations where it makes you, like, question. It's like, am I doing this? Like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Or why are we, like, meshing? I had so many of those situations happen. And those are always the hardest. Like, I feel like we talk about that all the time. Like, why are navigating friendships so hard as a mom? Like, I don't know.
Because I think you go into it, too, thinking about, like, I mean, at least for me, meeting these brand new people down there, I'm like, yes, I'm going to make a friend for myself too, but like eventually if you get super close, like I have brought my kid around these girls. So it's like you want to make sure that you have a bond, but you want to make sure they're a good person too.
And I'll say, like, I know that the people that I was connecting with, like, I genuinely liked them. I thought that they were good people. Like, I could see us, like, having a good, like, relationship, but there was just something that just didn't work, if that makes sense. We just, like, didn't follow up with each other. I don't know. Or, like, you didn't want to push too much. So this one girl specifically, she had reached out to me first when I was pregnant with Sonora and was like, hey, like, I'm so glad to see, like, another, you know, mama around or something like that. And, like, she's like, I wanted to, like, she reached out basically to offer support. And so, like, we had kind of briefly kept in touch. And then when I had Sonora, she's like, we should get together. Like, she was always initiating it. And then we hung out, like, 2 or 3 times. And then it kind of fell off after that. So then you're in your head like, oh, what did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? You know what I mean? And then you never really know. But it's also like, we've talked since then, like, kind of like catching up, like, how are you doing? And it's like, she was nice and fine. Like, nothing was like, so I'm like, I don't know. Because you, like, it's almost like you're, like, setting yourself up, like, these people, this is so cringy. They, like, text you and you're like, oh my gosh, they're texting me like I have a friend. That's how embarrassing this is to not have friends. You're like, oh my gosh, so-and-so texted me, like, we're gonna hang out.
But that's what it's like to be friends as an adult.
Yeah.
Like, and make new friends as an adult.
It's so hard, though.
Yeah. No, because I know that, like, that's how I was. Like, and my family, because obviously they would know, like, you know, we would, like, plan it, and so my parents would know, like, I was gonna go, like, hang out, and my husband would know, and so they would always joke around, and they'd be like, because it was Bumble BFF, so they'd be like, how's your first date? And then they'd be like, it's the third date, are you gonna bring her home to meet the family? And
it's like so hard too. Like, I know. Yeah.
But see, also back to, like, your point of, like, being in your head, that's the people pleaser in you guys. I'm not necessarily people pleaser.
We were just talking about this, about how, like, you and I are kind of more people pleasers.
Yeah, and I'm not. So, like, I am not typically in my head when I go out and hang out with her, because I'm kind of like, I am who I am, and if you don't like it, then I'm sorry, but it's not going to work out.
I think that's how I am, but I think I'm desperate. So, like, I think, okay, I am who I am, and I'm, like, just going to be my authentic. I'm not going to ever pretend to be anyone else, but I want so deeply for other people to like me that it's, like, pain. Like, I want people to like me exactly how I am. Like, I'm not going to change. Yeah. But then when people don't like me, I'm like, why?
What is wrong with it?
When I've made no effort to be any kind of anything else other than myself.
But you shouldn't.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But that's the thing. Like, I feel like people, like...
But see, I feel like that is, like I said, it's a positive of moving away because you get to just kind of, you get to be who, and when you like make the profile, I mean, you put exactly who you are. And if there were people on there that I didn't think, like I saw, like, for example, like, sorry if you guys are into this, but like anime, I'm not into anime. So if there was anybody that would be like, oh, I'm into this and like Pokemon Go and like that kind of stuff, I'd be
We ain't gonna get along.
yeah, like that's just not my personality. So like, so I've left. Like, no. But then, but that's a good thing with, and especially my area too, Orlando, there are tons of people.
Yeah.
And everybody who's on that app wants to be friends. Like,
that's
they want to make friends.
So that was my hard thing when I was on like the Peanut or the Bumble Friends. I'm like, I thought you people wanted to make friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any success with it?
No, I would like whatever, talk to someone, match with someone, and I would expect it to at least turn into like a long conversation or maybe a kid play date or something.
Yeah.
And it never left the group chat.
It just makes you wonder, like, were you just not vibing with me? Was it something that, like, I feel like people should be able to leave an anonymous review of you.
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably cry.
No. Yeah.
I need an anonymous review. What were you not satisfied with? Please rate me on a scale of 1 to 5, and I need to know what worked and what didn't work for you.
Oh,
I mean, just your opinion. It's just my opinion.
But again, that's the people pleaser. Like for me, because honestly, like, so I said that I made like 3 or hung out with 3 girls. I wouldn't say the one that were like really good friends. So I made like 2 really good friends with them. One, I did hang out with them. But there were tons of girls that we like had full conversations. Like we would talk and it never led to anything. And I just was kind of like, meh. Like, I mean, I'm glad.
Maybe you just didn't like click.
Yeah. And there was a girl that like we were trying to plan on hanging out. There was like a festival thing in my town going on. So I went to the festival. I actually saw her there with her little girl. And then I just like, when we just saw each other that brief couple minutes, I was like, and not saying that you can't be friends with different personalities, but I knew we weren't going to click. And so I just never texted her back and she just never texted me. So it just kind of fizzled out. And I don't think there's any ill will behind it.
Friendships are just so unique. Mm-hmm. Either they work or they don't. Like even you can spend so much time with a person and be close with them, but like buildings of friendships and like keeping those connections are very interesting. Like,
and it's hard when you're a mom.
Yeah.
Because especially, how many unread text messages do you have?
Unread? Mm-hmm. At least 12 right now.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But I open a lot. I mean,
I can't even have one unopened email.
Oh, girl, I have like 20,000 unopened emails.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
How many unread texts do you have right now?
I think 9.
Girl, you text me, and same with you.
I can't even have a spam email unopened or a spam text. All these election texts.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, if I get one more election text, I'm going to throw my phone out the window.
I can't.
Donald Trump is trying to take over I'm like, leave me alone. I don't care. The corruption is strong. I'm like, leave me alone. How did you get to delete this number? A for Donald Trump. B for come on, leave me alone. I'm like, where do they find this?
I don't know.
Where are they coming from? It's always a different number.
It is.
It's always a different number.
It is.
Yeah. I like the ones that type like they're actually talking to you like a real person.
Hey,
like,
girl. Hey. Yeah. Just wondering who you vote for. I'm like, girl, you ain't getting that information out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, you and I have talked about our friendship, but it was definitely like more of a slow burn. Mm-hmm. You and I were family, so we were forced to be together.
Mm-hmm. And we were together like every summer until I went into 6th grade.
We used to fight, but I think that kind of helps build a bond because if you would fight with a friend, that'd be it. But you and I fought and we're family, so it's like we would come back to each other. Obviously, we had that falling out. Mm-hmm. Who's to say we would ever come back together? But when we have so much in common, we're close in age. Mm-hmm. We both have kids around the same age.
And I think that is what pulled us even closer.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Because we started getting pretty close. Like, I started inviting you over to the house, and we started getting closer. And then when I was trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
And so, like, then we started getting even closer, and then
Yeah.
you got pregnant with Nora, and then...
That was such a hard time for me because I knew you were going through a hard time, and it's so hard. Like, I honestly it was hard for me to tell you that I was pregnant both times.
But for me, I was always happy for people that I, like, that deserved it.
Yeah.
Like, you and Colin were married, you were happy, you deserved to have a baby.
Yeah.
The only time I would get upset is if I saw people that did not, in my eyes, feel like deserved to have a baby. Like Justin's cousin, for example, she got pregnant and gave her baby up for adoption because she just wasn't fit to take care of the baby. And then shortly after got pregnant again. Oh. And then she did keep that baby. So like seeing that would frustrate the crap out of me. But for you, I was so happy. Like that didn't bother me.
I think like it wasn't as bad when I got pregnant with Sonora because in my mind I was like, oh, like I know she'll have her baby someday and I'm gonna work out for her. Caitlin and I for a while there, she had a 2020 baby, and then she had a 21 baby. Mm-hmm. I had a 22 baby. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
I was supposed to have a 23 baby.
But he was in... No. You were supposed to have a 22 baby.
Oh my, yeah.
He was due...
I was supposed to have
Christmas,
22.
wasn't he?
Yeah, 22 baby.
And then he wasn't born until
January 5th. Yeah.
And then... So we both have 23 babies.
Yeah.
So for a while there, Caitlin and I sent each other a snap. Pregnant. It felt like for a while there, it was like bam, 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 bam. Mm-hmm. And now it's like cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket. Until one of us breaks down.
I know.
Who's going to be the first one to break it?
I'm begging Taylor to have another baby because we were pregnant together with Sully
for a while.
And Micah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our boys are 3 months apart. And so we were pregnant.
They were only supposed to be 2 months apart.
Yeah. And then Micah came 4 weeks early. So I was like, girl, we're going to do this again next summer.
I don't know.
Next summer, we'll see in the podcast if Taylor's announcing.
Because
pregnant.
Me, you, and Maddie were all pregnant at the same time. My sister.
Yeah.
And in your mind...
Does she have 3 or 4?
She has 3.
3.
Eliza is 9, Ben is 3, and Millie is 1.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Millie was supposed to be before. Wasn't she supposed to be before Micah?
Yeah.
But she went to like 42 weeks pregnant.
Girl, she was every day. That was the type of pregnancy that every day you wake up and you're like, today's gotta be the day. And then she went 5 days after that. Like it was. I was on the edge of my seat. Because when you FaceTimed me, I was like, there's no way she had her baby before Maddie.
Yeah. Because my labor, so my water broke at 7:30 at night, and then I had Micah at 10:30 at night. Yeah. So
and this is your first baby.
Uh-huh.
Cries in birth trauma.
Yeah. But see, Taylor had... Girl, what you doing?
I tried to get it warmed up in your forehead.
I know!
You were complaining when you first walked through the door already.
Well, you know I mean. You know how I be. I get my complaining on.
Yeah. But see, so Taylor had an awesome pregnancy. Well, I mean...
Yeah, both of my pregnancies
were really good. My pregnancy, horrible. Then my birth, phenomenal. And hers, horrible. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say the birth was bad. It was, Sonora's birth, terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
Sullivan's birth wasn't bad.
Just the end.
Just hit okay.
They were just more...
My labor, the labor part of both, so the labor with Sonora was fine, other than the fact it took so long. The birth part was bad. Mm-hmm. And then the labor with Sullivan was fine. The birth part was it was bad, but it wasn't as traumatic.
You knew what to expect this time around.
Well, his shoulder got stuck too, which was really, really scary. Mm-hmm. But I also wasn't as scared because I know that that's something that's common. Mm-hmm. And I felt like they were prepared to handle that, but still really scary if you've never gone through it.
Yeah. So, my water broke at 7:30 at night. And then I thought I would have so much time. Because you always hear about people say it takes days. And I was really close with you, and I knew it took 3 days.
For 5 years.
Yeah. I knew it took forever. So I'm like, I got time. We didn't even have, no bags were packed. Car seat was not in the car because he was born 4 weeks early. I didn't think it was happening. So I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to go shower because my water broke. And so I feel nasty. So I'm like, I'm going to go shower. You go put the car seat in the car, pack the bag, So by the time we got to the hospital, it was 9:30 at night.
So were your contractions, did they start right away after your water broke?
Pretty closely after.
Were you having contractions before your water broke?
No.
So you felt normal? Fine.
I felt completely normal.
You're this is like a movie birth.
Yes. Yeah. The only thing that
it's called something when your water breaks and your contractions start within 3 hours.
Was it like spontaneous
labor?
Yeah.
It's like within 3 hours you give birth. That's called spontaneous labor.
Did you epidural?
No, there wasn't enough time. So I got there at 9:30. We had to do like the whole like check-in process.
Oh
I didn't
gosh.
realize
because they didn't know she was coming. I've been induced every time.
True.
They had the bed waiting for me, girl. Oh, birth stories are always my favorite. I literally,
Me too.
anytime
I love
anyone wants to tell me their birth story, I'm like, pull up the mic, girl,
Yeah.
let me hear it.
Yeah.
Tell
I
it.
love them too.
I know, because I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my favorite part whenever Caitlin and I would meet up after each birth.
Yeah.
Tell the whole
We would get
thing.
together. I'd be like, girl, you're not even ready for what I'm about to tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Every time.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I feel like, at least to me, you did not tell me about how traumatic it was.
I didn't want to scare you.
Yeah.
I think that I did scare people when I told them.
Yeah.
I think that that's such a hard thing when you have a traumatic birth, is that you don't really want to divulge all the details to people because you don't want to scare them.
But you do.
But at the same time,
Divulge.
I was so unprepared for what had happened to me
Mm-hmm.
that it took me months to like recover from it.
And we were just talking in the car that like how the doctors will talk to you at your like 37, 38, 39 week appointment. I didn't have that. So
she
like,
never even had her strep group B.
I was never checked. I was never swabbed. I was never anything. So like I was not prepared for it.
Yeah.
Like, so I wouldn't have even have been mentally. My visit to the hospital to like tour the hospital was that same day. I toured to the hospital, went home, went back that same night to have the baby.
I never even toured the hospital. I said, what floor do I go to?
But you guys are in your hometown.
Yeah, true.
Like this is a completely different hospital. Other than being in the ER during my pregnancy, I'd never been to this hospital.
Yeah.
So like touring it was kind of a big deal.
I will say I never ever stayed in the hospital before I had a baby. I never had an IV before I had a baby. I've still never had surgery. So like this was a first for me to go on with Sonora, and it was very nerve-wracking. Like, and I hate the hospital. I hate staying in the hospital. I hate being in the hospital. All of it. I hate it. Like I said, my favorite animal is me after I give birth, because I turned into this nasty person. Because for me, at least, like I had gestational diabetes with Sonora.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically prod you like a test experiment, and they want to take blood every 45 minutes, and they want to come take blood every time you feed them, before you feed them, after you feed them. Oh, we want to weigh them. Oh, we want to do this. And when you first have a baby that's been inside you for 9 months, and they're like, oh, we want to take your baby to do this, and we want to do this to your baby. I'm like, absolutely not. But at the same time, like, that's not me to be that type of person. But you get to the point where these people are like testing you. And I'm like,
well,
I was about to leave.
The other thing too is you also know that you're the advocate for this human being. Like, so.
But they make you feel crazy when you when
Yeah.
you stand up for yourself and say like, I don't feel comfortable with this.
Mhm.
They make you feel like a psychopath.
Mhm.
Like, I think that they gaslight you the whole time that you're in the hospital, because I'm like, you told me that we were going to be leaving. You told me this. You told me that, and then it doesn't happen. And then you are like, hey, like, can we get an idea of like when this is going to happen? And they're like, well, we're really busy right now. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. I'm sitting in this room all day waiting for you to come back.
See, mine rushed me out.
That sounds great.
But I mean, but for me, it was my first baby. I was just kind of like, okay, like you're just gonna send us off with this brand new baby, and like,
yeah,
I
let
wanted
me
to
go home, baby. Let me go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't have you on the schedule, so
Yeah, and they had so every time in this hospital that there's a baby being born, this like little doo-doo-doo noise like goes off, this like little chime. Oh my gosh, so many times in the middle of the night it was like doo-doo-doo.
I will say, like, when I was
born.
there both times, there was like a ton of babies being born at the same
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah.
there's 2 people specifically I know that were at the hospital at the exact same time as me. I don't know them that well, but we're friends on Facebook, and they were at the hospital at the same time as me giving birth.
you know how
Mhm.
depressing it is to be in there, be induced, watch a lady walk past your room, go into the next room,
give birth, and
in
leave.
like an hour you hear her screaming, then you hear a baby cry, and then an hour later she goes by going to recovery, and you're still in the room. Like,
so I will say, with Sullivan, which I was in and out in one, like I went in Saturday morning and we left Monday morning. Mind you, this was Labor Day weekend. We were like, I was already induced. I was already walking around the hallways with my little monitor. I see a lady and her husband come in for whatever, they check in. Then I see her go back the hallway for a C-section. I see her come out. All in this time I'm walking around in the hallways. She comes back out holding the baby. Girl, she left the same time as me. I watched it. I watched the whole thing unfold. Yes.
Wow.
And it makes me wonder, what am I doing wrong? Because why are these people moving so fast? What am I doing? And with Sonora, I was sobbing because they wanted to take blood from her so often. And when you're breastfeeding, it takes like 2 days for your milk to fully come in. And they pushed, and this is such a sensitive topic for me. They pushed, as a first-time mom, they pushed me hard to formula feed her, and I didn't know any better. And they make you feel like, well, your baby's gonna starve. Your baby's gonna starve. They need to eat. Their stomachs are the size of a pea, and I was making enough milk for her, and their blood sugar is going to fluctuate so much, but you don't know any better. So like they basically like gaslit me into giving my baby formula, all this formula she didn't even need, and then she wouldn't nurse because she took a bottle right away. And I also was just like, I just had a really traumatic birth and everything. So I like hate that about the hospital. I think it just like rubbed you the wrong way. So when I went back in with Sullivan, I was like, I need to put my foot down. But then it still happened again when we were in there for 2 days. And you can't yell at people that like don't really know. Like the nurses change every however many hours. They have to get all their paperwork done. There's 40 other people giving birth. They come back and they like forget about you basically. And they're at the will of the doctor until the doctor says you can leave. This turned into a birth.
I know.
Sharing story.
I know.
But
Michael was, he had his glucose checked every like 2 hours or something.
It makes you crazy, I think. Did your kids have to get their glucose checked?
Bo for sure did, because if they were over
big.
9 pounds,
like Sullivan had to too.
They just do it.
Yeah.
And I think they
that
did Emma once.
Off.
Oh, they did Emma once, and she was 1 point below the mark off, so they have made her do it again like 2 hours later.
Micah too. Yeah.
That's how it always is. Sullivan was 1 point off. So they wanted to do 12 hours. They did 12 hours. He made it. Then the nurses switched. The new nurse came in, said he looked a certain way, so she wanted to just check his glucose. But I stopped trying to feed him every 30 minutes like you are when you're doing the glucose tests, because you want to make sure that their glucose stays up. And they're so sleepy when they're newborns. So I wasn't like being aggressive about it. Well, his glucose was 1 point low, and she's like, okay, we need to do another 12 hours. And I looked at her dead in the face and said, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And they make you seem like a psychopath, but I was like, no.
And we're
not doing it. I said, check it again.
Like first time mom, me, like I didn't realize that you could just be like, no.
No, you technically, I feel like you technically can't, because they're like, you're going against off like doctor's orders. You're going against.
You just signed the document.
But then I feel like, okay, then they're like, I will tell you, like, this is how traumatized I was after I had Sonora. My lactation consultant came in and was so aggressive with me about nursing, and Sonora wouldn't latch because she already took a bottle. She wouldn't latch. She was telling me all this crazy stuff about making sure that I feed them, and if she doesn't eat enough, then she's going to have to come back to the hospital, and if she loses too much weight, she's going to have to come back in, and she's going to have to get a spinal tap. And, like, literally, as a first-time mom, imagine how traumatizing that is to hear. Colin was traumatized. And it's like, things just need to be better. Things just need to be different, because you're seeing all these different people. You don't know what the hell's going on. You're literally scared, like, because you're like, I just pushed this human out of my body, and now you people are moving them around all these different places and telling me all this different stuff. And I'm like, I haven't slept in 6 days. I'm wearing a diaper right now. Like, what are you trying to do to me right now? I think you're trying to, like, break me down.
Yeah. I feel like the nurses and the doctors, they're just so textbook by that point. So it's like, all right, if you're like Micah was born early, and so that's why he had to do the glucose test, and it was like it's protocol, like it's just like one step, like because I was in nursing school for a little bit, and that's exactly how it was like you have protocols to follow, and if you don't follow them, then it's like, all right, if you're not going to follow them, I got to tell you all of the risk that you're running into.
Yeah, and then but I feel like for me, it's like I don't want them putting in my chart that I'm going against medical advice, and then like you got to go to the doctor, and they're like, so I see that you went against medical, like, because then that makes you feel like a bad mom.
No, I think you're just advocating for it.
I know, but like I think for me in my mind, it's like, well, how am I going to say I know more than a doctor or more than a nurse? You know what I mean? Even as a mom, it's like, well, I don't know everything, you know, and I don't want to do the wrong thing either, especially as a first time mom. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Did they make him stay in the NICU at all because he was early?
No, he passed all of his tests, so like he didn't have to. But that was like one thing that I also didn't like as a first time mom. Like they took him out to do all of the tests, and they were like, it's protocol to take him out of the room and like go take him in the nursery. And they were like, one of you can come into the nursery with us to watch it, or you can stay here and we'll bring him back. And so I was like, all right, bring him back. Like, so like I didn't see any of the tests being done.
Yeah.
So, but like first time mom, I like didn't realize I could just put my foot down and be like, hey, no, he's staying in the room with me.
Yeah. I don't want my child to be out of my sight. Have you ever seen Switch to Birth?
I know.
Micah looks just like me.
That's true.
Yeah, he's my kid.
Colin would never, ever allow that. Colin didn't even want him to go back to get his freaking circumcision. Colin's like, can I come? I'm like, you can't come.
That did freak me out with the first one.
Oh.
I was like beside myself. I just wanted to cry.
I wasn't. She said, I'm going to go take him. I said, okay. I was asleep when she came in.
They don't do it at Micah's hospital that he was born at.
At all?
Mm-mm. If you want it done, you have to go find a certain pediatrician that will do it in our area. But it's a Christian like based hospital, and they don't do it.
That seems contradicting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, sorry, Micah, but he's not circumcised because it just.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they say that's a trend now.
Yeah.
Like the tide is changing.
I almost didn't.
I know. We were sitting there talking about.
I had a really hard time with it.
Yeah, because when Micah was 7 weeks old, we came up here to Pennsylvania, and you were ready to pop.
I think if it was just me, I wouldn't have. But Colin was pretty like for it, and he's a guy, so I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
probably was a little bit more. Yeah, and Colin is. So I mean, that was really Colin's kind of call. I mean, I don't think that's
Sorry,
weird.
Colin.
I don't think that's weird. I mean, it's not like I don't know. I don't think it's weird to say. I don't know. Maybe it is.
I didn't want Bo to have it done because he had been through so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And David's like, we have to do it.
Well, especially because your first one is, your second one's not.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, no more.
I was basically on the point where it's like, if they pull one more thing on me, if it's going to prolong my stay by 12 minutes, we're not doing it. And so they came in the middle of the night and they're like, this is the last thing he needs done. I said, see you later. Let me know. And he came back, snug as a bug in a rug, sleeping. And she's like, he did great. I said, that's great. Good night. I'm so happy for you, baby. Good night.
Yeah. Well, because of our
Come back to that
situation,
discharge paperwork.
they made us leave the room because it was a different situation. And I just sat out there in the cafeteria, like near tears, just thinking about the fact he was going through this. And when we went back, they said they were done. So we went back up, went to his room. They hadn't cleaned anything up yet. They still had, it's like a little gingerbread cookie cutter that they put them in and strapped them down. That was still laying there.
That's
all
traumatizing.
These bloody rags. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Why didn't they clean this up yet? I wish I wouldn't have seen this. I could have just cried. I picked him up right away.
Oh, that's traumatizing. And that's your third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
No, I was sleeping, so I didn't even think anything of it. She literally came in, she said, have you ever seen that guy on TikTok, Nurse John?
Yes.
Mama. Colin and I do this all the time because we think it's so funny. Mama. Hi, Mama. That was literally the girl. She's like, hi, Mama. What are you going to take him for his circumcision now? I said, I literally rolled over and I was like, okay. And then I literally rolled over again and she's like, Mama, we're back. He did so good, Mama. I said, okay.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, so anyways, that's how that went. And so yeah, what's next for you? Do you think you guys will always live in the same house? Or do you see that changing in the future? As you get older, as your family grows? I mean, where would you put another kid? I guess this is my other burning question. Where would you put another kid? In your spare room?
Yeah. Because so we have, how many? 1,
6?
2, 3, 4, 5. We technically have, it was listed as a 6-bedroom house. One of the bedrooms does not have a closet. That's the game room.
Yeah, and it has those like French doors.
Yes.
I mean, you could put regular doors on there and it could be a room, but.
Yeah. So we talked about just putting either the baby in the guest bedroom or into the game room. Because, I mean, even if it does. I mean.
Sully slept in there.
Yeah, Sully was in there and it had French doors and, I mean, it was fine. It has like covering over the glass so light doesn't go in.
Yeah.
Or like not a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. One of the rooms. But as far as if we would always live together, I don't know.
Like when your kids are like teenagers, could you see?
Well, at that point, your parents are going to be aging, and it's probably going to turn into more like you guys taking care of them at some point.
And because of family history, like we already know that, like when my grandma needs to be taken care of, she's going into a home, and she knows that. I'll find her a good home, but not my home. So, and the same with my parents. So, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, not forever, but right now it works with the family dynamic that we have. So, and it's nice with little kids, especially like they help out a lot.
Yeah.
So, and if the next baby is born over the summer, my mom is a teacher and my dad also works in a school, and so they helped out a lot.
So, girl, you're trying to plan these pregnancies out.
Yes. So I'd love to have the baby in like the end of spring, beginning
like
of summer.
May, same like almost same time frame.
Yeah. And then I can
Carry the 2.
Yeah. I'll go back to work and then they can watch the baby the rest of the summer until because my kid's in daycare, so then the second baby will go in daycare too. But these prices are outrageous.
When you tell me how much you paid for daycare, I'd be like, hello, stay-at-home mom.
I pay $1,355 a month for daycare.
I'm sorry, for one kid?
Part-time.
No, well, he is in there part-time, but they don't have a part-time rate.
Okay.
So,
you know what I said? Find a different daycare.
Yeah.
She's like, I really like it there, but.
No, okay, so we toured 3 daycares. This was the middle price.
Yeah.
There was one that was just a tiny bit cheaper, and then there was one that was way more expensive than 2. So it's
but
like
none of the ones that you toured had part-time? I mean, I know.
No.
No, I'm not going to blame you. I will tell you, I looked into 3 different daycares. One offered part-time, and it was like strict. Like same days, same times. Like you couldn't switch. If you wanted to switch, you had to submit it in writing. It had to be approved. Like they make it really, really hard for you.
Part-time is like Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah. Whereas I need Monday through Thursday, but we drop off around 7:30. My dad picks them up around like 1 o'clock. So we have like part-time hours, but just through 4 days. So I still need those 4 days. So yeah, now once he goes to the next class, they will do early pickup. So I'll save a little bit of money, but it's $1,255 then. So, or sorry, $1,200. So I save $155 a month.
If I had to pay $1,200 for daycare, girl, you'd see me on the streets begging for money.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more than my mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, I make more money than what the daycare is. So
not that much more.
Kind of like,
I don't care how much you make. You better be making $12,000 a month for me to be paying for that.
Yeah, but it's just like Justin doesn't bring home enough money to pay all of our bills plus enough to have savings and live comfortably like we like to live. Mm-hmm. So like I had to go back to work. Now I went back to work at like 7 months, but we drained our bank account doing that.
Yeah, I think that when you have one kid, it like is fine. But like for us, we had our second kid so fast that now I couldn't put the kids in daycare if I wanted to and work. like, I would not make enough money to justify it. It would be like $2,000 a month.
Well, around here, you needed to put him in 3 years ago, so.
Yeah, so our daycare.
Yeah.
I told you I had Sonora on the list. I put her on the list in February. She was born in May. The last time I checked, I was still on the list up until like a few months ago. They still didn't have a spot. She's almost 2.5.
Mm-hmm. Whereas where I live, there are
Just
20
a lot of
daycares
options,
in
yeah.
5-mile radius.
Well, I will say like 2 or 3 have closed in our area in the last few years, and it just wiped it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really didn't have a choice. You know, when I was growing up, our grandparents watched us.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your scenario?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay, so a lot of that was like kind of more of a theme, but like I feel like a lot of people have daycare now, daycare or something,
Because it's hard to live off of just one income nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say that I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I do work 2 jobs,
Yeah, you work.
and even before I started working at the store, I was babysitting another kid, watching your kids a few days a week. Like I was trying to make it how I could make it. You know what I mean?
Still had 2 jobs at that point.
Yeah, I was always trying to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you were an office manager, then you quit.
Yeah.
And now what are you doing?
Back to being an office manager.
Okay. Different place.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I really do enjoy where I am now. Like I love the team. We're a very small team and I do love it. But putting him back in daycare was like the hardest thing that I had to do. I would not. I took him the first 2 days with my husband. Like we both went together. I cried so much I could not take him. Like so then my husband took him every single day after that. And I also pumped that, like I would feed him and then I would pump. So I'm like, nope, you can take him to daycare. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to pump and then I'll go to work. I couldn't do it. I cried every day. And I still cry sometimes. Like, I don't know how many times I've snapped to him and been like, I don't know how I'm doing this. Like,
because you do take him now.
I do take him now. Yes. Yeah. So, in seeing him cry when I walk away, that's so hard.
Yeah, I will say Sonora did really good on her first day of preschool. She didn't cry. She was fine. I still cried.
She said, see you later, Mom.
Because it's so hard to, like, and I think I've talked about this so many times on the podcast, like, since I stay home with my children and I spend so much time with them and I see them so much, like, giving them up to someone else and, like, letting them, it's like, oh my gosh, like, like.
Well, I don't think it, like, matters when you give them up. I think you always question, like, no one else will be able to take care of your kids better than you.
Yeah.
So it's just like, are they going, my thing I always said is, are you going to love my child the way I love my child? No. So yeah, like the answer is always no, but it's just like, I wanted somebody who would try to match it. And the daycare, that's why it's hard to leave my daycare, because I found the teacher that takes care of Micah, she's a good teacher, and she's really good with him.
Yeah, I will say, like, I really love Sonora's preschool teacher. She's just genuinely, like, a great person. You can just tell when you, like, meet her and interact with her. So, like, that for my first time, like, leaving her. Because no one else has ever watched our kids other than someone that's blood related to them. You watched my kids once, but they were sleeping. And, like, you're the next closest thing to you. And, I mean, technically, you're not blood related, but you're still family. But, like, I've never, ever had anyone ever else watch my kids. Like, and I know that that's a privilege. A lot of people don't have that advantage.
Well, yeah, these people that, like, post in the babysitting page or even on, like, the random yard sale pages, like, I lost my childcare and I need childcare ASAP tomorrow. Who's available? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to ask the
but
random
also,
internet people?
It's so funny because, like, nowadays that seems crazy to us. When we were growing up, my parents had some Susie Q two blocks down the street that was like, yeah, I'll babysit your kid.
But 2 blocks down the street, I mean, she probably kind of knew her.
You would think. I mean, I think that they were, like, maybe, like, family friends. Like, my parents knew their parents, and then...
They weren't asking the internet for a rando.
Yeah.
To come over to their house.
Yeah.
I mean, are we more protective nowadays, or is the world just crazier? I don't know.
I feel like it's social media brings it to light more. I think the world has always been crazy, but it just was not brought to light the way that it
That's
is
what
now.
we brought up a few weeks ago. People used to, the moon is made of cheese. That guy's crazy. Now people get on social media and they're like, the moon's made of cheese. You and 700 other people agree. You know, like.
Yeah. Yes. And it like feeds into it.
Yeah. I think that's the hard thing. Like, not that I don't trust my parents, but even leaving, or Colin's parents, but like even leaving my kids with them, I'm like, what's going on there? Because like you said, no one's going to love your child like you do. And it's like, even though they might think that that's best, I don't.
But see, that's also, it's because of how your parents are. Like, because I will leave Micah with my parents,
And
absolutely
they'll do exactly
no problem.
what you
But
say.
I know that they raise him the way that I want. And like, but also we live together. So
they know you're everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, you know how like some grandparents are like, how you said earlier that somebody, I forget if it was you or Colin's parents, gave her chocolate milk for the first time.
Colin's parents.
Yeah. Like, and it's like, oh, I'm a grandparent. That's what I'm supposed to do. My parents don't do that because it's like, they're thinking, oh, we're going to hype you up on sugar and then we're going to send you home. That home is my home, so they're not hyping my kid up on sugar.
Do you feel like it's that way with your... Because really only David's mom really watches your kids other than you.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes my grandma will come over, but
you're
I'm
still here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like she... Shout out. Do you feel like she...
I sure
like follows what you want her to do? Or is she kind of like 50-50? Like she's going to do a little bit what she wants, but try to like... What do you think?
I think she tries really, really hard to do what I request and want done. And I feel like over the time that she's been around, because I've only ever known my parents and I know what to expect out of them. And that's the opposite of what I need and the opposite of what I want. And they would do anything just because they didn't want it. And so I think it took me a long time to get comfortable with Cheryl helping me and helping the kids and being around.
Yeah.
But now I feel like, you know, Eli's over 4 and I feel like we've gotten into a better beat, a good routine of she knows what I expect from my kids and she definitely holds a line with them and she doesn't let them act out. But I feel like she does still have that opportunity to spoil them a little bit.
Yeah.
And like on the days they go to her house one day a week, and she could fill them up with candy, and I want them to feel like, oh, this is Grandma's house.
Yeah.
Like I just said to her the other day about like, oh, making memories at Grandma's house. Like that's so special. But when Eli was born, I didn't want her to take him anywhere. I didn't want him in the car with her. I didn't want him in the car with anybody. Like it wasn't just her. Like he couldn't be out of my sight, or I was a bad mom. Like, but I had really bad postpartum, which I've said a million times. And so I feel like I've really grown there.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm starting to like phase out of that a little bit because I feel like even when I had Stella and I was still on that like mindset of like constantly, if I don't do this, I'm a bad mom. If I do this, I'm a bad mom. Like I think I'm starting to kind of get out of that a little bit. Like, but that's a hard one. That holds on to you tight.
Yeah.
That feeling.
So 2 things that I wanted to say. One, that is the one thing that I think that like I feel so sad for my kids about is they don't have, like, they will never, or at least in this moment, they do not have the feeling of going to grandma's house or going to grandpa's house. And like that, because, you know, we did that all the time growing up. And like, I loved that feeling because I would
make so many memories.
Yeah, I would go to my grandpa's house. He always had the best chips.
Chips and cheese sandwiches.
Yeah.
On those little plates, the little wicker plates.
Yes. Yeah. So like these memories, but like, he won't, if it stays the same way, he won't have those type of things. So that is one thing that like I have always been kind of sad about, that like he won't have those memories, but he has and like
I think the good outweighs the bad though in that situation.
Yeah, I just never want him to take for granted for what what they're doing for us, because they do so much.
Yeah.
But and then the other thing, I don't remember exactly what you said.
Well, we were talking about her.
Yeah,
experience.
but then you had said about like being a good mom or being a bad mom.
The grip of like, if I don't do this, I'm a bad mom. If I do this, that makes me a bad mom. Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of the family dynamic or if it's because I am a pretty confident person. I mean, I kind of hit my head son on the wall yesterday, and I felt like a really bad mom in that moment.
She did.
Yeah, I was going up the stairs in the dark and cut the corner too close, and when I did that, I like scratched his head, and he lost it. So in that moment, I felt like a really bad mom. But for the most part, I don't ever question the decisions I make as a mom. I'm like, I know I'm a good mom, and I'm going to stand by my decision.
Can we examine your brain?
I want to see it. Let's break it down. I think that for me, it's not.
Or are you on any medication? No. Maybe you can give us that list later.
Damn, you just raw dog me. I'm also not medicated, but maybe I should be.
like just learned that I am not going to be able to raise this baby by myself. And like, even if it was just me and Justin, we're not going to be able to do this. Just the two of us. Like, I need to ask for help. And even just for example, for Justin and I to have that quality time, to even just go get a 10-minute shower together. Like, if we want to just like, I would just be like, here, can you hold the baby? Like, so I feel like
but in my mind, I wouldn't even enjoy that because I would just be thinking, oh, someone else is sitting with my baby, and I should be there.
But for me, it like, I think it's also how my mom is. My mom has just always been the person that's like, why don't I, like, when we were getting ready to move, she called me and she was like, hey, how about next weekend I come over and I help you pack and we can do this, this, and this, and this. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. But I didn't have to call her to do that.
Yeah.
Like, she just said it. And so it's also been the same thing with Micah. Like, when Micah was first born, Mom and Shay were off school. So they said, hey, how about we take Micah from 11 o'clock at night? Because I would like feed him at 11 o'clock typically every night. And then his next window would be like 1:30 or so that he would be like waking up needing fed. And so she was like, how about I take him from like 11 to 1:30 every single night? And so like, she's the one that volunteered to do that. And then I would go sleep during that time. So we did that for the entire summer. But again,
this is why we're mentally ill and she's not.
But again, it wasn't like, it's not like I had to sit there and ask her to do that. It's just who my mom is. Like, my mom, and I mean, my dad too, but like,
I think I think deep down that's what having a village is. It's someone that's offering. It's someone that's showing up and saying, I'm going to do this without being asked. Because if you didn't want that, you could just say, oh no, I'm good, thank you. But if someone's like coming there and saying, hey, I'm already here, I'm already like ready, my shoes are on, I'm ready to help you, you're not going to feel like, oh, I don't want to impose.
And I think that's why when you like scroll on Facebook, you see all the time about people who are saying when somebody has a new baby, like, show up for them.
Literally just show up and start like
and say,
cleaning their dishes,
I'm going to do your
dishwasher.
Exactly. Yeah. Because a new mom doesn't want to give up their baby and just sit there and chat for 3 hours. They are thinking about all this crap that needs done. So
but the thing is, until you have a baby, you don't realize that. Because people were showing up and you don't know that as a new mom either. Because it wasn't until I had my second that I was like, I wish someone would just come do this laundry. Because I can't put this baby down long enough to get it done.
And to be honest, I mean, I was like that with your first baby. Like, looking back, I remember, so I traveled for work at the time. And so when I stopped to see Sonora for the first time, I stopped to see her. And then I was heading to the airport then right after to get on a flight. I showed up empty-handed with nothing. And then after I had my kid, I looked back and I was like, why in the heck did you show up with absolutely nothing? So
her and I had this same conversation all the time because when she had Eli, I was still like 2 years out from having my first kid. And you feel like almost bad because I'm like, I was a shitty friend. Like, I should have been like, I should have been like, hey girl, let me help you.
Because I wanted to
let me empty that trash can.
She would just come over and she'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. He looks fine now. Yeah. You say he's crying all the time, but he looks fine.
But he looks good. Yeah, must be nice. And like, I just like selfishly wanted to show up to hold the baby. Like, it's not like, I mean, I love you. Like, you know, I wanted to see you too.
But you just don't know.
But like,
you want to go see the baby and you want to check in and you know what I mean? Like,
but just showing up and being there, like, I was just like, what the heck, Ashley? You showed up empty-handed. I didn't even do a dish. I did nothing.
I do remember, and like, Caitlin and I have talked about this before, like, right before I was about to have Sonora, it was like a week or two before, she's like, hey, like, is there anything you need done before you have the baby that you can't do right now? And I'm like, I mean, like, I really would like to, like, scrub my kitchen cabinets. Like, they're really dirty, like, just have, like, stuff on them, and they're, like, greasy. And she's like, okay, I'll come over and do it. Like, mind you, she was also, like, freshly pregnant with Bo at that time.
Bo? Emma?
No.
Bo? Was Sonora?
Girl, no, yes.
When was Sonora born?
May of 22. And you were due in December.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
We were actually pregnant. So you were pregnant with Bo at the beginning of Sonora. I was pregnant with Sullivan at the end of you being pregnant with Bo. Because
that
our kids,
crazy.
Bo is dead 9 months in between our kids.
That's crazy. You were pregnant with the same baby.
And I was pregnant twice. With two different babies. That's how close my kids are in age.
Oh my god.
But you, like, I feel like you think that's crazy. Ashley and her brother are 11 months apart.
11 months apart. Yeah. My mom loved it. She loved it. She said yes, absolutely, it was hard, but like we got off bottles at the same time.
I mean, your
diapers
kids
at
are
the same
13
time.
months apart, so that's too far off.
Yeah, that's really close.
13 and 18.
That's hard, girl. And you got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah. Okay, besties. I feel like we're wrapping up.
Yeah. Do us a favor and give us 5 stars wherever you're listening.
Yes. We need to get on some other podcasting platforms, I think.
Yeah.
But I've been telling everyone this week, I'm ready to dive in and help a little bit more.
Yeah.
Stuff. Because Caitlin's been, I might be a big back, but Caitlin's been big back in this show. She's been putting it on her back and carrying it. And I know I'm the talent. But anyways, okay, besties.
Bye, besties.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.